Melissa, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
How's life after COVID? Well, I think COVID's still here. It hasn't sort of been ironed out yet, but
Yeah.
how do you feel?
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey, I think, for everyone. I think everyone's been touched by it in some way, shape, or form. And I think
Mm,
for me, I really, sorry, that's the dog sneezing in the background. For me, I think, it certainly was a catalyst for a bit of change in my life. And I think for a lot of people as well. But yeah, I think it made us, as a family sort of reevaluate where we were going and what we were
mm,
doing. And one of the things that we, thought that we'd do was, get rid of the mortgage and, why slave away for the next 20 years paying that mortgage when we could get rid of it. So we, downsized, we sold the house, bought a new house. I'd also been in my job for about 10 years
mm.
and had long service leave and was having a bit of a career refocus, I guess. So I actually left my job and
Yeah,
went and did some.
technical writing, in which we can talk about later on. Or
Yeah. So I was doing sort of communications and a little bit of everything else, but
mm.
I've always been a writer in life, and I used to write creatively when I was younger, and then I used to have a food blog,
Wow,
which
food blog.
yeah, yeah, it was really popular in Melbourne, and that led to
Yeah.
some other opportunities of contributing to some books on Melbourne in the food scene, and also doing some articles for the papers and stuff like that. And then I was doing sort of, I guess, corporate communications. And
Mm,
one of the things that I struggled with was, as a writer, is writing on demand, and especially on the type of writing. But I found that, I made the move to technical writing because it's very formulaic, and it's actually about taking words away, not about, writing prose or being very creative. It's
mm.
trying to simplify so, a vast audience can actually understand what you're saying. So I left my job and I actually went and did a postgrad in technical writing.
Mm.
And then my job actually wanted me back, the previous one, and they're in a bit of a situation. So I actually went back to them and helping them in the technical writing space, which is really good.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Just on COVID, Melissa, I'm curious. Obviously, COVID has affected a lot of people in a different way.
Yeah.
Was there something about COVID, like COVID was, working from home. We didn't know
Yeah.
what was happening. There was vaccinations. There was a whole toilet paper saga, obviously, here in Australia.
Yeah.
Um, what was it about COVID that created that switch in your head that goes, you know what? It's time to reevaluate. Like, I'm
Yeah.
very curious to understand how from COVID,
Mm.
you've been great, Melissa. I really appreciate it. Like, what was that sort of catalyst that really just go, you know what, I got to do it?
Yeah, I think the catalyst was actually being in lockdown. In Melbourne here, we were in
Mm,
lockdowns for months and months and months and months. And, having doing the working from home, doing the schooling from home. I've got a 9-year-old daughter, and I think it just, you know, it was really funny. We had a calendar up in our sort of office area, having, trying to work between my husband's teleconferences, my teleconferences, and my daughter's, teleconferences for school, and just going, what are we doing here? Like, we were trying to schedule our lives, and I was getting upset at her when she'd come and interrupt me in the teleconference. I'm like, this is just wrong. We're just so focused on work being everything about our lives
mm.
that I was missing out on really supporting my daughter through this as well, and then giving her the education and the school and the time. So it just made me kind of think, well, what are we doing this for? And especially when you've got that thing of the mortgage over your head as well, and you're just thinking, we're just working to pay off the bank. There's got to be more to life than this. And
It's got to
like
be
we had
more
a
to life.
beautiful, yeah, we had a beautiful, beautiful 3-bedroom, post-war weatherboard. It was lovely, and which we'd renovated a few years
Mm,
previously and sunk a lot of money into that. And I just thought, at the end of the day, it's not worth it, because we want to travel, we want to, not that we could during COVID, but that's our ideal, is that we're big travelers and we enjoy it and we'd like to do more of it. And I just thought, well,
interesting.
why put the money to the mortgage when we can actually put it towards the travel fund and go out and see the world and show our daughter, more about the world than, what she can read in the textbooks, or,
Mm. It's
yeah.
interesting. And, I'll be lying to you, Melissa, if COVID didn't affect my wife and I.
Mm.
And, my son back then was only 2 years old.
Yep.
And as you know, we couldn't see anyone.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to say that a 9-year-old is easier than a 2-year-old or whatnot, but it
Yep.
was crazy. You mentioned a house,
Mm.
not worth it or not important enough now.
I think not important enough now. Like I think to sink so much into that, I think, at the end of the day, it's just a roof over your head. Like
Mm,
it's just, it
good
fulfills that
point.
need it's just a roof. It's nothing more than that. You need to have X, Y, and Z if you really, you can't afford it. Like we live so comfortably. But I just thought, you know, does it really do it for us now? Is that what we want to achieve? And it's not. We really want to go out and experience things as opposed to, putting the money in the
Yeah,
bank's coffers.
it's just a thing, isn't it, Melissa?
Yeah,
Eh?
yeah.
I'm
And we,
really, I'm thankful that we met briefly,
yeah.
and I'm very thankful for your time, Melissa. Like the whole food writing and articles, that's beautiful. And
Mm,
you mentioned obviously there's got to be more to life
mm,
than these meetings and running around, and you're right, it's not cool when your daughter needs help, or when my son needed help.
mm.
I felt a bit of a dagger
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
in my heart, and it was wrong.
Yeah.
So mentally, I think you're in a much better space now. Then are you on that journey defining what that meaning is going forward?
Yeah, definitely. Because I guess, after making that change, so we're not paying the bank, the mortgage anymore, it
Mm,
allowed me to be a bit more flexible with my work. So now, I work 3 days a week, which is great. So I can give my daughter that little bit of extra
love
time
it.
and support, which works really well. And also work on me as well, like, continuing to study and, following, I guess, my own interests as well. So, you know, it's given us all a bit of extra time to kind of focus on us as opposed to
Lovely.
just the daily grind of the 9 to 5. So,
Yeah, it
hmm,
sort of sounds like a butterfly sort of just coming out of its cocoon in a way, and then
yeah,
you're spreading out and enjoying life. And I'm sure your daughter is probably noticing a different mum.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's all about, I guess, reprioritizing what's really important in life and, putting the focus where it should be. Because at the end
Yeah,
of the day, at work, you're just a number, they won't lose any sleep if you leave the next day.
yeah. If you don't
So,
mind me asking, Melissa, did you share this with your friends or colleagues, or was this sort of something that you were just trying to keep it together? Because I know for my wife and I try to keep it together. It,
mm,
it, it felt weird sharing the journey with others, but then I
yeah,
realized I had to share it, but I didn't do it, and I think it bottled up for me and my
yeah.
wife, and then it inevitably got to our son.
Yeah.
Did you try to speak about this with anyone, or
Probably not with family and friends. I think, my husband and I obviously talked, ad nauseum about it and came to those decisions together. And, he's an awesome support and, that's what we did. And we bolstered each other up and got through it. But
mm,
I think, after, we kind of made those, massive changes, like, they were massive changes, especially during COVID, trying to sell a house when we were still in lockdown and all the
yeah,
rest. We got through it. But I think after then, I certainly did open up to people and sort of, just sort of said, well, because they all wanted to know, why are you selling your house? It's awesome. Why are you making such a big
yeah?
change? And
It sounds interesting from what you've been telling me. Free, better, lovely
yeah,
weather board. It seems like a bit of
yeah,
a dream home, Melissa. Maybe
yeah,
back
it
then,
was.
or
Yeah, it definitely was. Like, and as I said, we've done a massive renovation on it. And, when I think back, the pain we went through, we actually lived in the house while we didn't. We were stuck in, 2 rooms and our kitchen was in the
mm,
hallway, and our daughter was 3 at the time. So it was a big thing that we did. And I think you look at the sunk costs that you put into it and you think,
mm,
oh, we actually did a lot to do it. And then to turn that around on its head and go, actually it probably
yeah,
wasn't, really that worth it. Because yeah, we've got a
wow.
beautiful house, but it's a beautiful house. What does it give? It is a home, but your home is anywhere. Your home is where your family is, and your home is where you're happiest. So
Love it. Home is home.
yeah,
Home is your family, is happiness. Mate,
yeah,
it's beautiful, isn't it, Melissa? Eh?
it's not the roof over your head.
It's not the roof over your head, eh?